This is a reflection on how I became so interested in racial justice. When I was growing up, my family had a live-in African American maid named Pauline. Since my mother worked outside the home, which is not very common in the late 50s and early 60s, Pauline was like a second mother to me. I was crazy about her. Pauline, she lived with us until I was 9 years old, at which time my mom stopped working. I missed Pauline terribly. Pauline then cleaned houses as an income for herself, and she came to our house once a week. I was always thrilled to be with her. Little did I know that my family was contributing to the systemic oppression of black people by first having a live-in maid and then a cleaning woman of color. Of course, I never gave any thought to this as a child. As a matter of fact, Pauline educated me about the mistreatment of people of color, taught me the importance of fair treatment of all people, and told me about leaving her husband in the South because she didn't want to live the life of a sharecropper. Because of what I'd learned from Pauline, I bravely defended a black girl who was being taunted when I was in first grade. When she worked as a cleaning woman, Pauline organized all the African American cleaners at Macy's department store to strike until they were granted the right to come in the front door. Pauline was my hero. She came to my wedding many years later because she was such an important influence in my life, and I loved her dearly. My family moved to Texas from New York when I was 14 years old. I was horrified by the clear prejudice against black people that was so prevalent. I worked as a volunteer for Head Start for 2 summers during my high school years. I think I was trying to make my own reparation to an entire race for the mistreatment that I had observed. My sense of civil rights was awakened by Pauline and then reinforced by the outright prejudice that I saw while I was in Texas. Again, I had no awareness of my privilege as a white person, but my recognition of the marked inequalities so apparent in our country gnawed at me and continued to do so in my adult life. Fast forward to the present day. With the Black Lives Matter movement, I started to pay greater attention to issues around race, systemic oppression, microaggressions, and what was my role in all of this. What could I do to make the world a better place in this sphere? Last summer, when Tracy Robinson Harris started the meetings to explore these issues of race and our personal roles in it, roles and responsibilities, I joined these meetings. I delved in deeply over this past year with the monthly anti-racism reflection and practice meetings. Awareness is a really valuable place to start. Ken Wagner, who facilitated our group for several meetings, continually reminded us that this is a journey. There's no simple answer to becoming an anti-racist ally, but I'm on board to try. In 2014, when I was the religious educator at First Parish, the RE program ran a book drive for Brightwood Elementary School, which was at the time the poorest elementary school in the Commonwealth. The school was in Springfield, and it had a very large Somali population. The response to the drive was wonderful. We collected over 20 boxes of books. The RE children helped to separate the books by age for the kids, and they decorated the boxes that were going to go out to this school. Rachel Beatty and I drove the books out to Springfield, and we were both really impressed with what a cheery inside the school had. It was so clear that the faculty and the principal really cared about these kids and what kind of experiences they were having. They were so appreciative of the books we gave them, and one teacher said that she didn't mind if each child took a book home and didn't return it. She said, at least when we know there is a book in their homes. Without these books, there's probably no reading materials in these children's lives. In retrospect, I wish that we had requested the multicultural books that had pictures of children who looked like the children that were going to be reading them. Hindsight is easier than foresight. I'm very willing to continue to build my awareness around systemic racism and find ways that white people can make our world a more equitable place.